Hey, good morning, Eastern Oregon, and welcome to this January 18th version of AM Live on EOA, your connection to Eastern Oregon, and we're on the EOA network.
Yeah, and on Roku. You can just go to Roku, search EOA Live.
Yeah.
Our logo will come up, download it.
The newest billboard I just put, it says 500 Roku downloads and everywhere, because anybody looks for it on any of the platforms, they'll find it.
BC, if you had to have, so I saw this on New Heights podcast.
Okay.
You could only pick 5 apps, not including the ones that come on your phone. What's your top 5? You only get 5.
Well, I mean, just in my daily life, I'd say Facebook and Instagram.
Okay, that's 2. Like messaging and all that doesn't count because that comes with your phone, your browser.
I mean, my whole life is around email and Facebook and Instagram. I'd say probably YouTube. I mean, that app,
YouTube's a must.
that
I
app.
think.
I don't know. I'd have to think about the rest of it. Our Simply Safe app for running the alarm here is pretty handy for me.
You got to have it.
Yeah. So.
I'm taking YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and I didn't think about this.
Yeah.
Those are 3 for sure.
Yeah.
And then Spotify for sure.
Oh yeah.
And then TikTok. I got it.
I think Spotify would be the 5th one.
Has to
too.
be.
I spend quite a bit.
Yeah,
it's so funny. I was a slow adopter to Spotify.
Oh, I love it.
I couldn't. Well, part of it was because when it first started, you could upload your own music, or you could, you would have it recognize your own music and all of that business.
Yeah.
And so it was like super clunky.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't get my head around it.
It's not clunky now.
No.
It knows more about you than you do.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
They kind of have it dialed in.
So the rant I went on the other day, the dude apologized. He stood up for it, and it was great. The whole thing about us video and the games.
Yeah.
What a stand-up dude. I'm not going to name him. It doesn't matter. You can look in the comments if you really want to.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's handled, and I'm happy about that. It ended very well.
Yeah.
In my eyes, 100%.
Yeah, I appreciate when things are able to resolve that way.
Morning Sports Report brought to you by Hobby Habit, 411 First Street in LaGrange. Go check them out. They got Traxxas RC cars. They have Magic the Gathering. They got STEM supplies for your kids. They have an awesome supply of Legos, like best in town by far. Hobby Habit here in LaGrange, just for the fun of it. LHS boys basketball dropped a heartbreaker on Tuesday night against Pendleton at home in overtime, 59-54. They are 4-13 overall and 0-2 in the GOL. They play tomorrow night on the road in Ontario at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. The girls basketball team up at the high school beat Pendleton on Tuesday night 50-36 to bring their GOL record to an even 1-1. They lost to Baker, beat Pendleton. They are 11-6 overall, and they also play in Ontario tomorrow night with a tip-off at 5:30 Mountain Time. LHS boys wrestling is in Baker tonight at 6 p.m. for the Baker Powder Valley Duels. I don't know what that includes for LeGrand. They just came off of the Classic where they had a good showing. They got 3rd place in a really tough 4A conference this year. The 4A wrestling is really tough this year, and LeGrand's they're gonna have to work their butts off to win a 3rd state championship in a row. I don't know if we're deep enough. Yeah. I really don't. Crook County and Sweet Home are both really good. Sweet Home is really deep. And to win a state championship, you could have the best dual team in the whole state. You need like 20 guys that are good. Yeah. You know what I mean? Which is more than just 14 that duel. So we'll see.
Yeah.
LHS girls wrestling is in Othello this Friday for the Othello Lady Husky Invite. They had a really good showing at the Classic too. 2nd place, the number 1 4A team at that tournament. The only team they lost to was Thurston, who's a 5A team. This girls wrestling team up at the high school is good, and they might make a little challenge for a state championship this year. They're good. They're deep. EOU men's and women's basketball are at home this weekend. The theme tomorrow against the Gooey Ducks is whiteout. I say girls, it's women's basketball in college, which we had a conversation about the other day. Like, girls is high school, women's is college.
Yeah.
The women tip off at 5:30, men tip off at 7:30, and then they both turn around on Saturday and play Northwest up at Quinn with 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock tip-offs. Like I said, on Tuesday, the men's team has got a big win against Corbin. They're looking to turn that corner. They're in 7th place. They have a good chance to make the tournament. The women's team, I think they're sitting in 4th right now. They were picked to win the conference, and the men were picked to finish 2nd in the conference. So they both have a little bit of ground to make up when it comes to finishing where they should, in my eyes. I mean, the women's team they lost some height. They lost arguably 2 really good Corbin transfers that graduated that only played here for a year. And then they lost one girl that was over 6 foot, and they didn't really replace it. Miley Mills, the freshman of the year in the CCC in volleyball, is playing basketball as well for EOU. They talked her into it, yeah. I asked Angie, I was like, is she as good at basketball? And she's like, I don't know, but we need size. So
Yeah.
And Miley's not like overly tall. I think she's like 5'10", but 5'10" in women's basketball is
Obviously
good.
athletic.
She's a stud. Yeah. EOU women's wrestling's in Forest Grove this weekend with duels versus Linfield and Pacific on Saturday. I missaid it on Tuesday. It's Saturday, Sunday, not Friday, Saturday. They duel Linfield and Pacific on Saturday in Forest Grove, and then the Boxer Open is at Pacific University in Forest Grove on Sunday. The men's wrestling team is going to Missouri for the Missouri Valley Invite this weekend. That's a huge tournament. And this is probably the first time of the year where we're going to get to see the number 1 ranked wrestler at 125, Hunter Sparks, get challenged. And this is kind of going to show us where he's going to be, when it comes to, he finished 2nd in the country last year, lost in the national championship match. He's been ranked number 1 all year, and this is going to be his first real challenge of the year this weekend. Clell Carson was named the NFHS National Wrestling Coach of the Year. What an honor.
Right.
That only happens. There was only 2 people from Oregon out of all the sports that won it in 2023, and Clell was one of them. And that's a tribute to his years of dedication to not just wrestling, but the youth of LeGrand. I talked with Clell a few weeks ago about, his influences and some of the people that have influenced him along the way. Here it is. What about you, Clell? You got time to think about it. He had the advantage here. He got to sit there and think about it. He didn't even hear what you said because he was like running through it. He's got a whole head full of stuff that's been told to him.
I do, man. That's a tough question. I think about all the people that were my coaches, not just Burl Miller, but, people like Fred Arnch, I think when you said that, the first thing that popped in my head was, never was a horse couldn't be rode, never was a cowboy couldn't be throwed.
Yeah.
I thought about that. That was the first thing that popped in my head, but I don't know. I think that, like all these coaches, Tom Kinney, he always says the difference between successful people and unsuccessful people is getting up in the morning. So that's another one, just, I don't know. Burl had a different quote every day. So it's like, I don't know. I think just in our program, like all the people and coaches like that I was around, or people that I'm around every day, like just the common thread is just we're all in it to make great people, and that's to me, that's what I say, and that's the most important thing. Be a good person. I had a conversation with the kids tonight. They got to be corrected as you go along too, right? And like that was my story tonight. Like, just be a good person. It's not about like, you may not be a state champion like Dustin said. Not everybody's going to be a state champion, but
it's not possible.
But being a good person is what it's about. And I think that's a common theme with all the people that have coached me, and hopefully I continue that with other kids that I could.
Morning Sports Report brought to you by Hobby Habit, 411 First Street in LeGrand, just for the fun of it.
And that's a national honor. That's a big deal.
Yeah, that's National Coach of the Year. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah.
He was the State Coach of the Year in Oregon in 2023 as well.
Yeah.
So he's been Coach of the Year in 4A twice.
Right.
Last year, he's the 4A Coach of the Year, but then he also was the State Coach of the Year, which is the next highest, and then he was National Coach of the Year as well.
And I've known Clell since we moved here in '97. He's a good dude. Yep. All righty. Well, let's look outside. Take a look at the weather. Surprise! It's snowy.
It's slicker than snot.
Yeah,
out there.
it was like
Whew.
it's just a
Almost
little. It's
biffed it a
right
couple
at
times.
freezing. Let's take a look at the weather forecast here. So 34, and tonight is 33. I was looking at this like it's going to be pretty much the same temperature all day long.
Yeah, which means it's just going to be slick.
Yeah, and yeah, it's right at that place where you've got a little bit of water layer on top of ice.
Yeah.
Which is not a great.
And then it's going to warm up, and we're going to get rain, so we're probably going to get some, flooding, like
Yeah.
up on the hill, where it always floods, down
Yeah.
4th and 2nd.
Yeah, hopefully not. But yeah, so tomorrow 40, Saturday 39,
With rain.
Sunday 40, yeah, with rain. So it's going to get sloppy.
Ugh.
Yeah.
The west side, Dallas, where my kids live,
Yeah.
no school again today.
Wow.
They haven't been to school since last Thursday.
They probably
That's
don't have.
crazy.
Did they have an accumulation of snow over there?
No.
No,
Ice.
just
they have
ice.
2 inches of ice
They
everywhere.
have no way of navigating that.
Yeah, I love watching the TikTok videos and the videos
Right,
on
I know.
Instagram of people like, well, actually, my friend, Justin Tyree, his daughters play softball at EOU. He posted a ring video of him leaving yesterday. He gets right to the front step, whoop, bam, right on his back. Oh, I was like, ooh, that looks like it hurt. But those videos are so,
I
you
know,
like see
it is-
people
that is-
slipping all over the place.
That is such a wild thing that this, those doorbell cameras have just started a whole nother genre of videos. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the fart ones too. Like the guy walks up, delivering a package,
Right, yeah.
and they catch it on Ring camera. They
Yeah.
post it all over the internet.
Yeah, I've seen those.
So
too.
great, so great.
All righty. Well, hey, Sarah Marcotte, who is the new executive director of LeGrand Main Street Downtown, is with us, and she'll be on the set here just right after this.
Eastern Oregon is full of interesting people, with interesting minds and interesting things to say. Here at EO Live, we're committed to connecting you to these intriguing people with EO Talks. We let our special guests share their ideas and life experiences with deep, open, engaging, and inquisitive conversations. You'll also be informed in depth on some of the most recent and relevant events, issues, and more. EO Talks on EO Live, your connection to Eastern Oregon, now on Roku.
Alrighty, and we are back with Sarah Marcotte, who is the new executive director of LeGrand Main Street Downtown.
Hi, how are you?
Good, that's a mouthful.
It is.
That is, and it took me forever. I've served on the board of LeGrand Main Street for, I don't know, I want to say 7 or 8 years. I think that's about what it was, and just came off of it. Just actually, it's been a year ago. It's the beginning of the year of this last year. Yeah,
We just missed each other though.
we did.
Wow.
Yeah. So welcome to LeGrand.
Oh, thank you. I'm loving it so far. Yeah.
Well, good. So let's just start with your life a little bit. Where did you grow up at, and
Oh my goodness.
then how did you eventually get to LeGrand? Yeah.
Well, I was born in San Luis Obispo, California, which is a small town, kind of fun, kind of rural with a lot of personality.
Uh-huh.
And then we moved out to Torrance, which is very urban, and then finally to San Diego. And I kind of grew up in a little suburb called Encinitas. It's kind of a little beach town.
Okay.
And then I lived in Vista for a little while, which is another little suburb out there. But my husband worked for U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. I actually met him working at the San Diego Maritime Museum. We both, we're both volunteer crew, and we worked to restore antique ships.
Oh, really?
Yeah, their pride of the museum is the Star of India. It's I think it's 1863.
Wow.
So it's so old that I think it's at sale just a few days before Lincoln's Gettysburg Address.
Oh, really? Okay.
So it needs a lot of love to keep it alive and on seaworthy, because
Yeah.
they do take it out every now and then. Too.
Wow.
Yeah, it's the largest ship that is actually under sail power. The Constitution over the East Coast actually is under tug power a lot of the time. But,
interesting.
yeah, we have a little rivalry between them. But I met him, and he was into history and nature and a lot of the stuff that I really care about. And so we kind of got married, and he applied to get a transfer quite a while ago. And because San Diego is just very expensive. And so we were looking for something different. So we got a transfer to La Grande, and it's been an amazing place. I came out actually a week before he did, because I had a job that I was offered that didn't turn out to be on my career trajectory, that kind of thing. And then he came out a week after, and then our furniture came out 2 weeks after. So it was like camping for a little while there.
Yeah.
But,
so how long have you been in La Grande or in?
Since October 27th. I
Okay.
think.
Yeah. So
I'm
since in the fall then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, cool. And then you just went to work for La Grande Main Street downtown,
I
right?
did. My first day was on the 8th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, cool. And Kyle, as we talked about before, Kyle is from San Diego originally. Yeah.
Yeah. So is this your first time ever being around snow?
This is my first.
At least living in snow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is my first serious winter.
Yeah.
So
It hasn't gotten serious yet.
No, not yet.
No. No, it can get a
boy.
lot worse than this.
Okay. My experience with snow was like I'd go up to the San Bernardino Mountains
Yeah,
or stuff like
yeah.
that, and you ride a little sled around and you have fun in it and that kind of. And then you come home and there's no snow. But now that it's like an inescapable force, so you're having to learn. I'm having to learn to drive. Luckily, my husband is from Petoskey, Michigan.
Oh, okay.
Which is, they get the lake effects and everything, and it's just a very snowy place in the winter. So he was showing me, and I just recently got a car with studded tires from Daniel from Legacy.
Oh, good.
And I got a little car with studded tires, front wheel drive, and that's been incredibly helpful.
Yeah.
So,
Well, good. Yeah. No, Kyle
Yeah.
spent the summers here
Yeah.
a lot. Yeah. So he kind of was in both worlds.
oh, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd come live with my aunt and uncle in the summertime, and
Yeah.
so I knew, I knew that the La Grande area, but I didn't know snow. I mean, when I was a kid, we never went to Big Bear or up in the mountains. You know what I mean? So all I'd ever saw was just rain at the most, and then
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my first I moved here in '91. And my first that was a really, really bad winter too. So the first year we lived here, we had to dig ourselves out of our house. So that was like, I mean, not only am I, 11 years old, 12 years old, culture shocked. I'm the only kid in the whole school with earrings, but I'm having to learn how to dig myself out of, 6.5 foot drifts on my front door. It was definitely
You were probably like,
I was
this
like, let's
is
go
BS.
back home.
I could just see you as.
Oh, it was so bad.
How old were you? 12.
I was 12, yeah.
I
and I
did,
was
as a
just
12-year-old.
pissed all the time.
Yeah.
My
liked
mom
it.
still talks about it. She was like, "You hated it when we first moved here."
Yeah.
I loved coming for the summers. I loved being out on the
Yeah.
farm.
Sure.
And wearing my bolo tie and my cowboy hat. I got pictures of that. But then when we moved here, I was just like, "Oh, this is miserable." But
Yeah.
it's grown on me. I love it here now. It's
Yeah.
absolutely amazing.
Well, and you haven't really had a chance to appreciate the outdoors very much here yet.
Not yet.
Yeah,
And,
that is, I mean, that is by far, I mean, the element of the outdoor here in Eastern Oregon is really hard to match anywhere. Yeah, but it takes a while to really get onto that and to discover that. Are you an outdoorsy person?
I'm a hiker. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So have you been to Mira yet?
No,
Okay.
I've been hearing about the bike
Yeah.
races, and I'm just like, ooh,
Yeah,
I'd
no,
love to
it's
get
just
involved.
I grew up in central Wyoming, and culturally it's very similar.
Oh.
But we'd have to drive. I mean, we had mountains there, but still to go elk hunting, it was a haul, and it is so fabulous. When I first moved here, and I realized that 15 minutes I can drive and see a herd of elk or something like that, and that's like super unique. Or or biking, and I mean whatever the case might be. There's just a lot. There's a lot of outdoorsy stuff to do.
I'm living in Union right now, and the thing that's blowing my mind is like right across the street there'll be like 4 deer, or
Yeah.
I guess elk, just walking up the street, and it's just like, they're just right in my yard.
Those are definitely deer, not elk.
They're deer.
Yeah.
Okay, I think they're
Elk are
white-tailed.
not that. They don't do that.
Okay, I think they're white
way more.
deer.
They're way
Yeah.
more sketchy. They're
Yeah,
like
deer
all
are
human.
just dumb.
Yeah.
We got deer that just hang out all over town. It's crazy.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, you don't have any deer watching, so you don't have to worry about offending them, I guess.
Well, we had a game and fish person on not too long ago.
Yeah?
And yeah, one of the things that I learned from that situation is that deer will graze in the same places over and over again, even if they build a parking lot. The deer will come back to those particular areas, so yeah, it's kind of so. What does your husband do again? I'm
He's
sorry.
U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and he's a biologist.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And what kind of biologist? What biology
I
does-
guess kind of conservational biologist.
Okay.
So yeah, looking to make sure that the indigenous plants and wildlife are successful.
Oh, interesting.
We got to get him on here.
Yeah.
We had the state guy on
Yeah.
a couple
Yeah.
months ago.
No, that would be,
Biologist.
yeah, it's because I mean, this is, I don't know how he feels about his job, but this would be a great place
Cool.
for that kind of stuff. I
Yeah.
mean, just because there's so much variety of stuff. So then tell me a little bit about, I know that you have a
Yeah.
TV background.
I do,
Right? Yeah,
yeah.
talk to me a little bit about that.
Well, I guess I started out in psychology and just realized pretty early on that that wasn't really a good fit for me. And so I went back to school for multimedia.
Okay.
And so that was all encompassing. That was graphic design, editing, video, just pretty much everything that you can think of. And I really latched into the video aspect of it. And for a period of time, I was working with kind of a custom home show where we'd go out to the custom homes that were built in different areas. We worked a lot in the Appalachians. We worked in the South. Just a lot of really beautiful homes that were built, and we would film them to help advertise for the builders. And then we would fund those by going out to the vendors, the people who install the windows or put in the carpet, that kind of thing, and saying, we'll film you a 60-second spot if you contribute a little bit of money, a little bit of sponsorship to this production so that we can keep it rolling. And that's kind of how we funded it. We just go out to those locations. And now with the internet, I don't think there's people who necessarily do that. They'll just hire a crew kind of in the area.
Yeah.
But part of my job was getting people to send me their reels and looking at what they could do, and then coming out to a fully new crew every time I'm on the set.
Oh, wow.
And saying, like, okay, guys, here's the shot list for today. This is what we're going to do. And
Cool.
yeah, it was a really fun job. I really loved it, and I think it's where I discovered I really love travel and seeing what every new environment has as far as, nature or the culture, the local culture, and that kind of thing.
So were you working for a production house or
Yes.
a network? Or yeah,
production
okay.
house, yeah.
Okay.
And then we went out and we just, I think it was nationwide broadcasting, which probably isn't that helpful for the local vendors.
Right.
But
Well, and as you know, what year was that you did that?
ooh, I think like 2009, 2010.
Okay, yeah, and man, the landscape
Yeah.
of digital TV is just like
Completely different.
It's absolutely different.
It is just, and we're still, every day, I mean, we still trying to figure out, okay, how do we fit? It's so funny because when we started this digital TV station, and I've told this story many times, but we had a traditional production house, and then in 2014, Kevin Loveland, who is the funeral director here, said, well, can you stream funerals? And so that's how we got into the streaming part of
wow.
it. So yeah, and we still do that. I mean, that
Yeah.
still is one of our bread and butter stuff.
Sure.
And so then it was like, well, we should do a football game. It was like, we should do a football season. Well, we probably should call ourselves something, and that's kind of because there is no video media here locally, you know. But still, it was funny because I had a sense, I knew that back in 2014, I could see the digital space, you know, and even we talked over and over again about connecting to a local tower and having an over-the-air TV station, but the cost of that was $50,000 or $75,000, and I just could not see that where that was the direction it was going. Anyhow, all of that to say, so we're in a place. We're in this place now where now every legacy TV station out there is trying to get to the place where we started in, you know.
Yeah.
So it's just been this crazy transition of a move. You know? Yeah. So how did you tell me? So then, I don't know. So then, how did you do more of that? Tell me, where did you go from there?
So I did that for a while, and then I actually took some time off from doing that because I got a little burnt out. And I was working at the Maritime Museum of San Diego.
Okay.
And I started out volunteering there, wound up working there in a couple different roles. In my very first role was second watch officer, which is kind of maintenance, janitor, and security all rolled into one. And from that, after I kind of was familiar with the museum and everything, I was able to use my kind of educational background that I had gotten from working in special education when I came out of psychology.
Yeah.
And I was able to work in the living history portion of that. And that's where the kids would come overnight, they stay on the ship, and we kind of recreate the experience of what it would be like for these new sailors to come aboard the ship and how they would live, what they would eat, and that kind of thing.
That sounds great.
It was really fun. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of great
I
kids.
did something like that
Yeah?
in 5th grade.
Oh, yeah. Was it on
down
Star of
there.
India?
I don't remember the name of the company, but that was like one of our trips in 5th grade. Was we got to go overnight on a ship,
Yep.
and I remember it very clearly.
That's what we did, yeah. It was, I think, 5th
How
grade.
long
is
has that
when-
been happening?
That's been happening forever. My goodness.
5th grade for me would have been like 1989
1989?
or 90.
Okay.
So-
That you definitely, that's definitely where you went.
Yeah, I think probably you're probably right because I
Yeah.
remember it
That
very
would be
clearly.
so unique. And yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, because my experience is so far from maritime experiences, you know, and especially an old ship.
Yeah.
I mean, I would totally dig that.
It's amazing. And
Yeah.
just every day you're out there, you're on the water, you're just right there in the Embarcadero. It's such a cool experience, but I just needed a break from doing the production for a while.
Yeah.
And that's what I decided to do.
No, and I've been on the production side of
Yeah.
that where you have that forced creativity. I mean, we're kind of in that environment all the time, but there's so many different things that we do that there's a lot of variety in it, you know.
That's good.
Yeah, because when you I would imagine when you have a program like that you're producing, it's just the same rinse and repeat thing.
Basically, yeah. Because we have to keep doing it, so you get a formula that works.
Yeah.
And you're just like, no, we're doing it this way. You're doing it this way. You guys do B-roll. You guys do this, and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So.
No, you're using all of the terms that we use.
Oh
so-
yeah. Sorry. B-roll, if you don't know, is just like when you're watching a show, the footage of like all the little details, like the door hinges or the faucets.
No, yeah. And the viewer, they watch those things and they have no idea. They're just taking it in, you know, and they don't know. So
Yeah.
well, So LeGrand Main Street downtown.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing that now?
Since January 8th.
Yeah, so just a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it was really cool because I actually I went down for Trunk or Treat, the
Okay.
Halloween
Oh,
celebration.
awesome. Okay.
Yeah, and I had just kind of walked away from a job that I came down here for, and I was like, I got to find something different, and I really was just talking with the Timber Cruisers and Arlen. And I used to drive a 65 Barracuda back in the day, and I had to give it up because I couldn't afford the upkeep. There was a lot of rust and things like that. I was just like, I can't throw money at this every day. So I gave that up, but I was talking about how much I loved it and how much I loved like the classic cars, the muscle cars, and that kind of thing. And we started talking about what I did professionally and that I had just left a job. And he said, go talk to Marianne, which is his wife, and she works for Main Street, and she is looking for someone who kind of does what you do, the promotion and the production, that kind of thing. So I went and talked to her, I put in my resume, and then just a little while later, we started the interview process.
Well, that's good.
And then I was hired.
Well, and I think that part of that, I mean, I'm just guessing, I've been involved in the past 3 or 4 hirings of the executive director before you. And so, but, I mean, given that moved so quickly, I think that's a testament to they feel like they found the candidate. So that's awesome for you. And so, what are, looking at LeGrand from the outside, what are some of the things that you really appreciate? What are some of the things that is like, oh, that is so, I don't know, because we've been here a while, and it's easy to forget those things. So what are some of the things that you've noticed?
I think just the historic nature of the downtown, things like that you have all these beautiful old buildings. In San Diego, a lot of times they just get torn down and they want something new, and it's tract housing or it's something very cookie cutter. But to have the uniqueness of those old buildings and that people are retrofitting, putting new businesses in, keeping it alive is amazing to see, like history and just the evolution of this city. That you can look back at old photographs and you can say, oh my gosh, that's the Community Kindness Building. That's amazing. And the people are so wonderful. Just it's such a friendly, welcoming environment that you talk to the people and you really get to know the people who are running the businesses here.
Yeah.
And that to me is coming from a bigger city, I guess, is very unique because it's not just like shuffling you in and then you come in and they're just like, who are you again? These people remember you. They're like, oh, you know what? We just got this in. You got to check it out. They know what you like. They care about you as a consumer. You're not just a number. They're not just looking to make a sale.
Yeah.
I'm sure they want to make a sale, but yeah.
Well, cool. And I know you just got started, but are there any things in Main Street itself, in LeGrand Main Street downtown, are there some things that you're liking about that? I mean, and I'm sorry, it's a super vague question, but tell me about some of your other observations about the Downtown Association itself.
The Downtown Association, I really love, there's so much focus on trying to get small businesses to thrive and trying to get the economy to just a really healthy state. And this is an exciting time to be on it because we're coming out of COVID, which was a down time for everybody.
Right.
And now we're at a place where we can kind of rebuild and restructure. And so getting to be a part of that, getting to be a part of things that are just like new programs coming in fresh, enlivening the programs and events that existed, and just kind of creating something unique. I'm really enjoying that.
So we were talking about social media apps beforehand.
Yes.
What's your top 5 apps?
Oh goodness, I was hoping you wouldn't ask me that. Okay, Instagram for sure. I think Instagram is loads of fun. And YouTube, yes. But then, I guess Google Calendars, because that's
That
how I
comes
keep
on
it.
your phone.
Yeah. Oh, it just comes on my phone?
Well, you can't count the ones that come on your phone.
well, yeah.
Okay.
Google Calendars count.
Well, but if she's an Apple person,
Yeah, are you an Apple person?
I do. I have
Oh,
an
then
iPhone.
you do have to jump. Yep. Okay.
So Google Calendars, and then I guess Google Mail, and Google Voice, because my phone that I brought from home still has a San Diego area code.
619.
I got the 760.
Oh, you have the new one.
Yeah, yeah. And so I use Google Voice to have a LeGrand area code so I can call people and it doesn't look like, well, who is this person?
Who is that? Yeah.
Yeah, because it looks a little like a
Well,
telemarketer.
now they know you're from California, so
They
they're
do.
gonna hate you.
I know, yeah.
I'm just
No, I understand that though, because like there's a lot of people in California who hate the way California is going too.
Yeah.
I mean, if I can talk a little trash about California, we have a massive homeless population. And a lot of those homeless people, everybody thinks of homeless people, oh, they don't want to work, or, you know, they're crazy. It's like, no, a lot of these people are working 40 hours a week. They just can't afford an apartment.
yeah, that's crazy.
And it's ridiculous for
Yeah.
somebody to be living in their car like that. And so a lot of the direction California is going in doesn't seem to be where they care that much about the people who are living there. They'd rather just bring in the people who have enough money to sustain the you know, the $3,000 a month apartments that they're putting up and that kind
That's
of stuff.
crazy. Can you imagine navigating, living in your car and working a 40-hour? I mean, people clearly do that,
A
but
lot of people choose to do it.
Yeah, the van life
Yeah.
culture. Yeah.
I don't think it would be that bad, actually.
Well, if you have a van that's all set
simple.
up for you.
I don't
Well-
need all this extra stuff.
no, but a van, yes. But if you were in the front seat of your car,
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be real comfortable.
no, it's like, well, and you kind of think, I mean, you get up and you try and get ready for work, and you've got to go to work and look like, you know, you're presentable in some manner.
No, you pay 30 or $50 a month for a gym membership and take a shower and brush your teeth there. after
That
you
is
work out.
actually what a
It's
lot
a lot
of
of
people
them.
do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I follow a couple of them. A lot of them just go to the gym in the morning and take a shower, get
that's
ready
their
for work
routine.
there.
Yeah. Interesting.
I don't think it would be that terrible if you had a nice, you know, like truck with a tonneau cover on it and
Yeah.
threw a mattress back there. It wouldn't be horrible. I mean,
Well,
there's not a lot of crime around here. Not like people are going to come up and stick you up in LeGrand. Like,
yeah,
Yeah.
you're pretty safe.
yeah.
You could
Maybe I'll
probably
try it one day.
Yeah,
fun.
I'm not going to try that. My life's not that simple. Yeah, yeah. It requires a little bit more maintenance than that.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, so what are your? I mean, again, I know you've only been here. It's got to be a little bit of a whiplash, though, to go from San Diego, warm,
Yeah.
ships, water, to mountains
Yeah.
and snow. And, you know, I mean, and there was some times last week when it was blowing and snow that it was like, okay, this is as miserable as
Yeah.
as it
It
gets.
was really cold.
Yeah.
Really cold.
Yeah, it was. And when the wind blows and it gets super cold and it's snowing, it's just dangerous. You know, that's how people.
Yes.
But how are you adapting to that?
Well, when I first came, it was a little bit of a process learning how to dress. Like, I know obviously I can't walk around in sundresses or something like that. But I'm like, if you dress too warm and then you're in the office all
Yeah.
day, then you're just miserable because
Yeah.
you can't you can't show up in like a ski suit or something
Yeah.
like that because you can't take it off. And so it was learning like, okay, we'll put a jacket and a sweater and a shirt and then thermals underneath, and we can sort of start paring down as we need to. And the shoes. Like, I just got my first pair of snow boots the other day because it became necessary. And so I had to relearn how to dress a little bit, how to do my hair, because I'm living out in Union right now, and it's just very windy. It's a very windy place. Just learning how to take care of myself and get ready for this environment, but just the beauty of it has been really what keeps me going. Is
Good.
just, yes, the snow is miserable to drive in,
Yeah.
and it is terrible digging your car back out of the snow. Especially the other day, the plow just went through and
plowed every view
buried
in?
the car.
Oh, man.
And I was like, fun. Okay, well, this is an adventure. You have to
Yeah.
just look on it like that. And a lot of it is the attitude that you bring to a situation.
Absolutely.
So if you say like, this is a new experience, there's so many wonderful things that I can just take in, and that's kind of how I've approached it, as opposed to like, oh, I wish I was still in San Diego. I wish I could go to the beach. And it's like, sure, that would be great, but let's look. I've heard it said before, I'm not sure who to attribute it to, but when you get to the point in your life where you're not looking back anymore, you're doing something right. And I've always been very much in that mindset. It's like, well, we're not looking to the past because we can't change it. It happened.
Yeah.
You got to experience those things, good and bad.
Yeah.
And now we're looking to the future and what we can do. And that's where I'm at, is just loving the beauty of the snow, just loving the nature and all the new things that are coming from LeGrand.
Good.
Yeah.
No, and it takes a little while, but there is so much to love about. There's so much uniqueness. I mean, LeGrand is rural and it's small, and the shopping. I moved here from Seattle in '97, and it took a while to just get my head around the consumerism part of that. There weren't as many restaurants, and you didn't have access. Now, a lot of that has changed, but you didn't have access to the product the way that you wanted it, and so on and so forth. But there are just so many bright stars that are, the outdoor culture, and Elgin Opera House in Elgin is EOU is just all of these little, they're not little features, but the hospital that we have here locally, that's privately controlled or locally controlled. There are so many fantastic things that just take a little while to identify and figure out. So hang in there.
Yes, I think the huge advantage that LeGrand has is because you have all these beautiful little hidden gems.
Yeah.
And they're not commodities. It's not like, oh, the Opera House is doing something, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
People aren't jaded the way they are in a bigger city.
Yeah.
And so people really appreciate like when something new comes in, and when something, when a festival is happening, or just the small things that make life worth living. People really are enjoying that and taking that in, as opposed to like a lot of places where it's just like, yeah, who cares? There's a thing at the museum, whoop-de-doo.
Yeah.
And it's just...
Well, and all of it is accessible too, from a leadership standpoint. So in other words, if you care about theater and drama, you can get involved up here at EOU's theater department, or in Elgin Opera House, or in the Liberty Theater. All of those things are, if you were a car person and you really wanted to jump into the Timber Cruisers thing, it wouldn't take very long before they'd like, hey, we need leadership on our board. We need people who can come in. And everything is that same way, whether that be the school district or entertainment or EOU, all of that stuff is accessible for people to be a part of. So
I really love that too.
Yeah.
So,
super.
yeah.
Well, Sarah, thanks so much
All right,
for being
thank
with
you.
us today. Yeah, we really appreciate it.
Great.
And, we'll have you back again.
Okay, sounds great.
And we're going to have, I mentioned this yesterday, Caitlin is the new Chamber of Commerce Executive Director. Yeah, and I think she's going to be on next week sometime. So
That's so cool.
So yeah, so you guys are new together, and again, that's a little figuring out the role of where LeGrand Main Street downtown fits in with the Union County Chamber of Commerce. There's a little bit of shared roles, but at the same time, they're very different.
Yes.
So we'll have to have coffee,
Yeah.
and I can, and talk more about production and
Absolutely.
shop and everything. So
Yes.
yeah. Well, hey, you want to get us out of here, man?
Let's do it.
Okay.
On this day, January 18th, 1644, perplexed pilgrims report the first UFO sighting ever. 1644, they saw a UFO.
A UFO sighting. Okay.
Yeah. I wonder what that was. I wonder what they saw.
Yeah. So Kyle and I have this running conversation about UFOs and Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
No such thing as Bigfoot, by
No
the way.
such thing as Bigfoot?
No, but there is something else out there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no
I think
doubt.
they just confirmed that there.
we would have seen a Bigfoot by now. Here's my thought.
Yeah.
We would have seen poop, hair, something. We would have found something.
There's enough
We'd
naturalists.
have solid
Yeah.
evidence that if there was a Bigfoot, and we have nothing. I mean, all of it's, it's all arbitrary, and there's no solid proof of a Bigfoot. Now, though, we have some pretty solid proof about aliens. So, 1778 on this day, Captain James Cook stumbled over the Sandwich Islands. What are they called now? Yeah.
Sandwich Island.
Yeah.
Cook.
Hawaii.
Oh,
Hawaiian
okay.
Islands.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
They used to be called the Sandwich Islands.
Interesting.
1896, the first demonstration of an X-ray machine in the USA, in New York. 1896, they started X-raying. 1951, the first use of a lie detector. Yeah, what a strange piece of equipment that is.
Yeah.
And that's they use that in court cases. I don't understand that.
Yeah.
2005, the world's largest commercial jet, the Airbus A380, is unveiled in France. 2016, check this out. The world's 62 richest people are now as wealthy as half the world's population. So the 62 richest people in the world are as wealthy as half of the people in the world.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That is.
It's crazy. 2022, Microsoft says it's buying Activision Blizzard, and they went through with it. Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, and Candy Crush cost Microsoft $70 billion, and it was the biggest tech takeover in history.
Wow. That was in
70
22?
billion, yeah. But Call of Duty is the biggest gaming franchise
Right,
ever.
right.
World of Warcraft's right there too.
Yeah.
And then Candy Crush is the biggest,
Yeah.
highest grossing app probably ever.
Interesting.
Yeah. And Microsoft, man, they want everything, don't they? They got to keep up with Apple.
Well,
Apple just passed Samsung.
Did they in value?
No, not in value, but in phones sold. 2023 is the first time Apple's ever sold more phones than Samsung.
Yeah.
2023. Those Apple people are taking over the world.
Well, and Samsung is a lot more popular outside of the United States. The Apple culture, I mean, it's everywhere, but it's really heightened in the United States. So.
Well, I've never had an Apple. Never even messed around on a Mac.
Yeah. Well, Sarah and I were talking earlier. The cool thing about that is, your iPad and your your iPad and your phone and your Mac. The text messages flow to all three of those.
I'll bet you Aubrey that was on Tuesday has an iPhone. It's basic white girl stuff. Remember
Yeah.
we were talking about her Stanley Cup?
yeah.
Basic, she's got an iPhone.
Yeah.
Aubrey, if you see this, tell me, do you have an iPhone? Yeah.
She does.
Oh, guaranteed.
It's all right.
It's all good, though. I'm not anti it. It's just never been my cup of tea.
No, but it's so funny because I have my daughter Michaela. My whole family is Apple except me, and so yeah.
Hold out, BC. Hold out.
Hold out.
Hold out. Don't do it. All right, so let's move on. The number one song in America on this day in 1984. What do you think it was, BC?
84. I should know that.
It's up there.
But I didn't know.
Benny already
Yeah.
jumped the gun. So put it back up there, Benny. Who is that?
I don't know.
Steve
who that-
Miller Band, the Joker.
Who is it?
Steve Miller Band.
Steve Miliband.
Joker.
I wasn't a big.
You know that song, no? Everybody knows that song. Some people call me the State Space
Oh yeah.
Cowboy.
Okay.
Quote of the day comes from JFK. One person can make a difference, and everyone should try. One more time. One person can make a difference, and everyone should try. That's it.
All right. Good stuff.
Oh, Todd just said he switched to Apple this year. Shame on you, Goro. You used to be my favorite referee.
Oh man. Went to the dark side. Yeah. Well, Sarah, thank you very much for being here with us today. Yeah, we really appreciate it. And we'll see you all
Tuesday.
next Tuesday.